One thing I think I underestimated about this challenge was how tough it was going to be, just in general. Been doing 3 workouts a week, and now we've pushed back up to 70. And oh my God, 3 workouts in a week at 70 miles plus gym stuff. Like, the fatigue is real. It's not easy. And so today I still definitely have some residual fatigue. This pace feels kind of fast today. But that's just how it goes, you know, kind of up and down. It's supposed to be hard, otherwise everybody would be doing it. I love it. It's definitely been tough, but I gotta admit it's been a little tougher than I thought it'd be so far. All right, another set. I love it. I love it. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alec Blennis. If it's your first time here, I'm training for a sub 2:30 marathon and trying to do so while building muscle mass throughout the year. Doing a little update today. I'm here at the track. Today's workout is a 2-mile warm-up, 4 sets of 4x500, so 16x500, a little faster than threshold pace, 2-mile cool down. Throughout the workout, I'm gonna talk to you guys about how the training has been going, catch you up on my progress, some of the things that are going well, some of the struggles that I've had the last couple of months, and answer a couple questions from you guys. So this challenge kind of started coming together in my mind last December after I set a PR at the California International Marathon. I ran 2:40, which was a lot better than I thought I would do at that race. Training going into it, I wouldn't say it was bad training, but it certainly could have been better. I had a marathon planned for shortly before that one, and I got sick. I tried to run the marathon anyway and actually dropped out of an October marathon, like 6 miles in. I was dying, just couldn't do it. And it was really discouraging. You know, I could have blamed the sickness, but I was also just like, man, like I thought I was fit, like I thought there was something going on. And I thought that was gonna kind of be it for me for the year. And then a friend of mine, unfortunately got injured, asked if I wanted his bib for California International. And I was like, sure, I've always wanted to run that race. And so kind of coming off of DNF and a few weeks of not really training that hard, I hopped into CIM. Thought I was in shape for like 2:45 and ran a 2:40. It was like shockingly impressive for myself. I was super, super happy with it. And I did that off of an average training volume of like 45, 50 miles a week. I'd gotten a couple weeks, maybe like 6 weeks of like 55. So I was really satisfied to run 2:40 off of that kind of mileage. And I honestly just never felt so confident about my running ability. And so after that race, I started thinking, you know, what would it take for me to run 2:30? And I thought about it. Took a few weeks of easier training after that race. Started ramping up my mileage and my volume again. Got up to about 70 miles a week. It's like, man, I'm feeling pretty good. I think 2:30 is possible. So at that time, I decided to hire a marathon coach. Started working with John Davis, who has worked with a lot of elite marathoners, a lot of people much faster than me. I told him about what my goal was, run sub 2:30 while building muscle. And he's like, looking at your running performance, if you hadn't said building muscle, I would have said, yeah, no problem. He said the building muscle is obviously going to be the tougher piece of it. So he's managing the running side. I'm still doing the strength training stuff. But I think together, you know, we can get 2:30. I'm a couple months into it and feeling really good about where I'm at. All right, let's hop into that first set. All right, I got four sets of 4x500, 30 seconds rest between reps, a full 3 to 4 minutes between sets. So first set here, 2,000 meters of running. I'm gonna try to keep a pace of like 5:10, 5:15. John emphasized he wants this workout to be really controlled. Not supposed to be digging deep on this workout. Should be pretty relaxed and smooth overall. So see if we can get it done. First set done. Averaged, I think 5:05, 5:10 pace. It's a little quick. A little out of breath. I might slow down a little bit for the next 3 sets, but overall feeling pretty good. All right, second set, down around 5:05, some 5:08 mile pace. A little quick per usual. I have a habit of running my workouts faster than prescribed, just a little bit. Hopefully John doesn't mind. Getting fit though. I think it's the fittest I've ever been, running wise. But it's funny because I'll hit these workouts that I'm surprised I'm able to hit. Like, ran a 35 flat 10K on the track just as a tempo run earlier this week, which is just barely off my all-time PR from college that I set on a fast kind of downhill course. So like, I'm running the fastest times I ever have. But not gonna lie, I will wake up from workouts, that next easy run, the next day sometimes is the hardest part of the week. Wednesday's easy run after that tempo run. I woke up, I'm like, oh my God, like I feel bad. You know, so I feel like the good days are really good. The bad days are pretty bad, but I'm still recovering in time to hit the next quality session. And you know, I think that's the most important part, especially in this kind of general phase of training. You know, I'm not super close to the marathon race day yet. So I'm packing in a little bit more fatigue. If I go into some workouts a little bit tired, it's not the end of the world. So yeah, I feel really good about it. But yeah, I'm just genuinely shocked at how tough it has been. You know, I've done hard training for, I don't know, 15 years or so. I've done, you know, single workouts that are tougher than anything I've done in this prep for sure, but just cumulatively, you know, across a week, across a month, this is the hardest I've ever trained, and I love it. How you doing?
Yeah.
Get your any reps in yet, or still warming up?
Oh yeah, I've gotten, that was my first. So they're all like sub-max, like 90-95% fly-ins. So it's just like this part of the phase is trying to be really smooth. Just feel like the technique, like the negative foot strike versus like this training. So it's good, yeah.
Third set, probably the worst one. Fourth one, I'll know. I'm almost there. Averaged about 5:08, 5:10 pace on that. It's the fastest I've run, and oh man, I haven't done a workout this fast in at least a month. Because one of the toughest things about this prep has been navigating a meniscus injury. A couple years ago, I tore my meniscus, and it's been an off and on just challenge to deal with for a while. And it's a really bizarre injury because at times it's completely fine and I'll forget that it's a thing. And then out of nowhere, it'll go from, you know, just existing in the background, undetected, to like debilitating pain that I can barely move through. And I had a really bad flare up of it 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we just had to take a week of easy running just to let it settle down. And then we've gradually been kind of testing some faster and faster paces. Usually when it starts bothering me, easy paces are fine. It's faster stuff when that kind of like kickback angle gets a little higher, that I start to really feel it. And so that's been a struggle trying to train through, and it's kind of led to some like trickle down injuries. One of the things that can irritate it is like deep knee flexion, deep squatting. And so while it was bothering me, I was just kind of sticking to like partial range squats and leg extension, doing a little extra volume, a little extra load in that shortened position. And doing a bunch of that, I pissed off my quad tendon. So like training around the meniscus to piss off a quad tendon, and then just trying to manage training around all that has been a struggle this past month. But I was looking at my training log last night, looking at all the workouts I've done, and I'm still really proud of everything I got done. And so, yeah, when stuff hurts like that, I think it's easy to get discouraged or to pull back on training too much, but like still do what you can. Because, you know, I've had a lot of stuff going on this past month, and I've still made some really good progress, running some of my all-time best. But yeah, navigating that stuff has probably been the toughest part of the journey so far. One more set. One more set. I want to finish on a high note. First 3 reps of that set were on pace, like 508, and then just kind of ripped the last one, like 445 pace or so. Probably didn't need to, but just felt good to test the knee a little bit. Gave me some confidence that I can still run fast, and that knee is not holding me back anymore, so I feel good about it. Quick water break. Gonna cool down for a couple miles. Probably my favorite part of training for this right now is just being so kind of dialed in, and you know, training hard every day can be psychologically taxing. Has the potential to feel a little lonely at times, but it's been cool just living here in Austin too. A lot more people have wanted to like hop into workouts with me. I've been training with my friend, Coach Q Physio, once or twice a week for the most part, lifting with him at least once a week, occasionally hopping into some portions of his sprint workouts. And friend Abigail Crow, Blaine McConnell, they're here in Austin. And so it's occasionally getting to do some social sessions has been really fun and motivating. Seeing people just like running around the trail that follow me online and are familiar with what I'm doing is really cool. Like there's one dude, I think his name's Joey. See him once or twice a week around the Ladybird Trail, and he always yells out like sub 230, let's go. And that kind of stuff has been really cool and really fun about this. So even though the workouts are challenging and some days I wake up and I don't want to do it, you know, all the support and stuff is really cool. The motivation of having an audience. I wouldn't do this if I didn't have people watching, rather than I'm doing it just to look a certain way or something like that. But like the legitimate like personal connections of people that follow along, knowing that they want to see me get it done, I think is definitely motivating on days like today where the alarm goes off. I'm like, I don't want to go up to the track. It's like, no, I gotta go get it done. Show the people it can be done. You can run fast marathons, build muscle at the same time, and hopefully have some fun in the process. So obviously today's video is kind of on the track, but half the challenge is being able to build muscle while getting under 230 in the marathon. And that part of things is, it's challenging right now. People talk about, you know, cardio killing your gains, and I think that's certainly overblown, especially in moderate volumes. Getting closer to 70 miles a week earlier in the year when it was mostly easy volume and the weather was cool, I thought it was totally fine. Like my strength stuff was going really, really well. And now we're getting into summer. You know, even on the track today, it was a little bit warm. A lot of my runs during the week, it's 80 plus degrees and humid. And now, putting workouts into that 70 miles and it getting so hot, it's an appetite killer. I'll come back from a 10, 12 mile workout in the heat and well, yeah, I just burned over 1,000 calories. Just the only thing you want is fluids or maybe some fruit. And so just getting enough calories has been a little bit tricky. And so my weight has dropped a couple pounds. I've gotten a little bit leaner. I don't think I've lost any strength or muscle, but I have gotten a little bit leaner, and I know that's not sustainable if I keep that up. So I got to work on getting the calories back up, trying to lean more into some more liquid calories post-workout, some carb powders and stuff post-workout, just to try to help with that a little bit. And hopefully as we get deeper into the summer and I get better heat acclimated, some of that appetite will come back. But that's definitely tricky. Some gym workouts have been pretty tough, especially working around that meniscus issue, quad tendon issue I was mentioning earlier. The gym has been challenging lately, but I'm still overall satisfied with the direction things are going. I would love for it to be easier, but yeah, it's definitely pushing me to my limits. All right, just finished up with the track, did those 500s. Starting my lift now. I'm gonna answer a couple questions I got from you guys. First one, I like this question. So there's a lot to dive into here. You seem superhuman. How can I take advice from you if I'm just an average Joe? I think the most important thing is that you shouldn't take advice from people in the fitness space based on how fit they are, one way or the other. Just because someone is super fit doesn't mean they're worth taking advice from, and just because someone looks like you, talks like you, or is similar fitness level to you, that doesn't mean that you should necessarily be taking advice from that person either. I think that people's knowledge, expertise, ability to show progress, regardless of where they are, just their ability to improve and get better, and their ability to help others improve and get better. Again, regardless of where they're actually at, whether it's being really effective at taking beginners to intermediate level, or really good at coaching intermediates to become advanced athletes. I think there's a wide range of fitness experts that are great at working with different populations, but just where their current fitness level is at, I don't think is super important. Something I would keep in mind is a lot of the best and smartest coaches I know in the entire field are busy dads. They run full-time businesses, they have 3 kids, they prioritize their own training, but they only have time for a couple hours a week at this point in their life and in their career. And so some of those people that I know are fantastic coaches. They get incredible results for themselves given the amount of time that they put in, but they're not nearly as fit as I am right now because I have a lot more time, flexibility, and I'm training 15 hours a week. So I'm gonna obviously get very different results from them. It doesn't really mean that I know more than they do. At the same time, I do think that when you train a lot, when you're training 15, 20 hours a week and constantly pushing yourself to your limits, there's a lot of education in that, and there's things that you're gonna learn and understand about training that are just not really possible to get any other way without doing it and experiencing it. So I think there's a lot of value in really putting yourself out there the way that I am and that a lot of people do. I don't think it's inherently better than other kind of ways of balancing your life and training though, because there's things about balancing training with being a dad that I don't understand. So you have to keep that in mind as well. I would say the downside of potentially training a lot, people that have really, really good results from 15 plus hours a week of training, is that if you train enough, that can, I think, mask knowledge gaps, because if you train enough, you're gonna get fit, period. Take anyone and have them train 20 hours a week, eat enough food, do enough work, they're gonna get pretty good results. And so I think there's a lot of people who look really fit, they look the part, and it's just a necessity. If they train enough, they're gonna look a certain way, they're gonna perform fairly well. Does that mean that they're doing it in the smartest way or the most efficient way, or that they couldn't be a lot better if they had more knowledge? Absolutely not. So I think we have to be careful, especially looking at very fit, kind of fitness professionals and influencers, and thinking that they know what they're talking about just because they're a certain fitness level, when a lot of that can, knowledge gaps can be covered up by sufficiently high training volume. So a lot to think about there. I think having experience, with training and pushing yourself is certainly tough. But I don't think that you should or shouldn't listen to someone just on account of where their current fitness level is at, because there's a lot that you don't see. Some of those coaches that I mentioned that they don't train very much right now, and they look very relatable. They're family man, businessman, etc. A lot of those coaches I know, they were training just as hard or harder than I was, 10 years ago, and they got insanely fit. And some of them could probably keep up with me to this day, despite only training a couple hours. But that's not the side of them that you see online now. And so I think it's also important to consider that when you're looking at someone on the internet, you're seeing a very curated, small fraction of their life. And oftentimes creators, myself included, we will lean into the parts of ourselves that resonate with our audience and are marketable to our particular audience. And it's not that we're being dishonest, but we can certainly show a skewed perception of ourselves. You could lean into posting about all of the toughest workouts that you do and posting the glamorous physique shots with good lighting and looking super jacked. And you could have a much kind of, hard and tough aesthetic on your page. Meanwhile, you're still making time for your family and you're still doing all of those things. That some other people might focus on that aspect of their life. They may not post all of the tough workouts that they do. They may post more pictures spending time with their kids and talking about meal prep and balancing family life with training and all that kind of stuff. And they may look a lot more relatable than that first example, even though both the people are doing exactly the same thing. It's just kind of what side of themselves do they want to show for the internet. So I think we have to keep that in mind too. Like when you're looking at someone on the internet and you're thinking, oh, they look superhuman, or oh, they look so relatable, it's the part of themselves that they decide to share on the internet, and you really never know the full picture. All right, so next question I got was, how do I explain to my coworkers that stretching isn't necessary for running? This is an interesting one because I think we have a lot of great data that stretching interventions generally don't do anything for running economy or running performance. That's pretty consistent in the literature that it's certainly not beneficial. So I think if you just want to make a quick case that like, hey, you don't have to stretch if you're a distance runner especially, that's pretty easy to do. That being said, I think a lot of people take that idea too far and they'll say that stretching is bad, or they'll disincentivize people from stretching. And they'll point to studies that show like the most elite runners with the best running economy have the worst mobility. And I think we have to be a little bit careful with that, the way that some of these studies are designed. For example, a very popular one that was going around looked at elite international distance runners, so the best of the best, and they looked at their sit and reach performance versus their running economy. And they found that the elite international distance runners with the worst sit and reach had the best running economy. The athletes with the worst sit and reach. Did I just say that twice? Let me retry that. In the elite international distance athletes, those with the worst sit and reach performance had the best running economy, and those with the best sit and reach performance had the worst running economy. Now, there's a couple of things that I think we should remember with the study. The first is that the entire sample is elite international level distance runners running insane times. So whether we're looking at the people who have the best mobility or the worst mobility in this group, we have to remember that they are all capable of running world-class times. Second, we're looking at sit and reach performance, which is your ability to reach past your toes. We're not actually measuring joint angles or tissue extensibility. So anthropometrics, basically how long your limbs are, body proportions can be a huge factor here. For example, if you have someone who has really long legs and a really short torso, they are not going to be able to reach very far past their toes because their legs are just so much longer. And so people with longer legs, shorter torso, they're generally going to have worse sit and reach performance, but those longer legs are going to be favorable for running economy. So a lot of what we can be measuring in studies like this is just anthropometric differences, so differences in body proportions, limb length, etc., as opposed to real like extensibility of the hamstrings, for example. So take that into account. A lot of times what we see in these mobility studies is just like, yeah, people that are built to run are not built to have crazy, ranges of motion and things like that, at least in terms of external measures as opposed to like internal joint angles and that kind of thing. The other thing to consider is a lot of studies that people point to where stretching interventions hurt running economy are extreme and short term, where they'll have people do insane like 20-minute stretches and then test their running economy and there's a decrease in running economy. But when we look at real world kind of practical stretching interventions, like what does a real world training program look like that emphasizes mobility, and then look at how that impacts the running economy over 8 to 12 or 16 weeks, we generally see that it does absolutely nothing. So if you're thinking about stretching as a runner, I don't think that you have to improve your running performance, but there's no reason that you can't pursue that as a secondary goal and improve your mobility while still being a great runner. I think people have taken this too far and they encourage runners to be tight because people think tightness and stiffness are the same thing. So they think that being tight is going to increase muscle tendon stiffness and energy return. But tightness and stiffness in that context are very different. And you can have great mobility and good tendon stiffness at the same time. So if you want to stretch, stretch. If you don't want to stretch, don't. I don't think it really matters that much for distance performance, but I don't think it's something we should be scared of either. All right, so next question I got is 2 sets to failure or 3 to 4 sets to RPE 8 more effective? The kind of intensity trend is pretty strong right now, talking about minimum effective dose, importance of training hard, and I think that's all great, but I think somewhere along the way we got this distorted sense of how much intensity versus volume matters. And with something like training to 8 out of 10 versus 10 out of 10 effort, yes, I think that 10 out of 10 effort set is going to be at least marginally more stimulating on a per set and per rep basis, but we're still looking at pretty marginal gains. You know, is it 5% more effective, 10% more effective? Maybe something in that general ballpark to go a little bit harder, but there is disproportionately more fatigue associated with that. And so if you do stop at 8 out of 10 and you just get a third set, that third set, and especially the fourth set, like in terms of per set benefit, maybe a little bit less, but in terms of aggregate or total stimulus, just doing a third set at 8 out of 10 effort is going to be much more stimulating than just pushing for that extra rep or 2 on those first 2 sets. If you're really time crunched, I think 2 sets to failure, very, very close to failure, is totally fine. If you're not and you have energy, just holding back a little bit to accumulate more volume, I think is a lot more effective. Now, long term, are we looking at, you know, doubling your gains or some of these crazy numbers that people talk about? No, like either way, I still think we're talking, you know, pretty minor differences. The Pareto principle, or the idea that you get 80% of your results from 20% of your work, I think is pretty applicable here. You know, 2 sets versus 3 sets is not going to be an earth-shattering difference. 8 out of 10 versus 10 out of 10 effort is not going to be an earth-shattering difference. But choosing between 2 sets to failure and 3 sets that are just hard, I think 3 sets just hard is going to win every time, at least in terms of total stimulus. Again, per set or per rep, the harder set is going to win, but total stimulus, just doing more work is still underrated, I think. So this question is, if you're training at RPE 8, is progressive overload just training at RPE 9 or 10? Absolutely not. Increasing RPE or just training harder is not progressive overload. It's just trying harder. Progressive overload, people think that it's something that you do to get fitter versus something that just naturally happens as you get fitter. In my view, progressive overload is just ensuring that training remains hard as you get stronger. And so we want progressive overload to reflect that increased fitness, the ability to do more because you're fitter, not forcing more to get fitter. That's not really how it works. You have to get fitter and then you do more because you have to keep challenging yourself in that way. So if you're going from 8 out of 10 effort to 10 out of 10 effort, all we're really doing there for sure is training harder. What we want to see is the ability to do more work, more volume, more intensity, more weight, whatever, at the same effort. So progressive overload looks like doing 5 more pounds at 8 out of 10 effort, not doing 5 more pounds just because you tried harder. Trying harder is not a way that's going to work. You can't force progress. In any sort of like, periodized workout program, you may see building RPEs. You may see a program that starts at 7 out of 10 and finishes at 10 out of 10. And I think it can be part of an overload strategy, and it gives you kind of opportunity to build into heavier loads and get exposure to like near competition weights and things like that. But it's not a strictly necessary part of progressive overload, and it can give you a false sense of progress and make you think that you're applying progressive overload when you're not really. So keep in mind, progressive overload should reflect fitness gains, not just increases in effort. All right, last question today. This one is an important one. Can high cardio volume increase arterial plaque? Seen this study kind of circulating, talking about potentially higher CAC scores or calcium scores in endurance athletes. I think it's worth addressing because there's a lot of things that we don't know about it, and I don't like seeing this kind of like fear mongering or scaring people out of cardio that we know is generally health promoting. Some of the researchers that have been looking into this have made it clear in their studies, like this is not enough to change guidelines. We still recommend people do cardio. In fact, in one of the studies on cyclists, they even suggested that in the cyclists with the highest CAC scores, they recommended that they continue to do their exercise program and not stop on account of some of these findings. But basically what we're seeing is that in some very high performance athletes that, they generally have low risk factors. You wouldn't expect them to get heart disease. We're seeing elevated calcium scores in some of them, and it's prompted some further research. A couple things I think are important to discuss with this is that higher calcium score is not always a bad thing with certain interventions. For example, we know that statin drugs reduce cardiovascular mortality, save many, many lives, but when you give someone a statin, it increases their CAC score because it causes kind of a plaque stabilization, potentially a safer plaque phenotype, if you will. And that may be some of what we're seeing with endurance training. It may just lead to plaque stabilization, which is going to raise the calcium score, but actually be safer in the long run. Do we know that for sure? No, but it is a possible mechanism that's being explored. The other thing to keep in mind with this is generally the training volumes that we're talking about when we see some of these elevations are really, really high, often in elite cyclists and things like that. People doing very, very high training volumes probably does not apply to 99% of people reading some of these studies. If you're doing a couple hours of cardio per week, even training for a marathon, that is probably not enough to put you in some of the categories in which we're seeing some of this data. So most people probably don't need to worry about it at all, but even the people that are in some of those elite high volume groups, I think it's important to note that overall cardiovascular disease outcomes are still very favorable. Overall death in these groups is still very, very favorable. There's no reason to look at it and be like, oh, I'm gonna die if I do all this cardio. You're still gonna be in one of the most safe, highly protected groups in terms of disease outcomes, but it is worth exploring in further research. Are there ways we can potentially mitigate these risks and prevent some of the very rare but unfortunate deaths that we do see in athletes? It'd be great if we could, but I think it's always important to contextualize this and point out that when we do see some of these health risks in high performance athletes, sudden cardiac death, heart disease, and so on, it's still exceedingly rare, and the rate is far below what we see in non-athletes. So even if there is a risk mechanism that's going to affect a few people, far and few between, it is not enough to warrant a change in the guidelines or make people not want to do this kind of training. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with more educational content and another Q&A. Thanks.